Hi, I'm Scott Wrighton. I serve as Decatur's city manager, and every week you can find through link or this connection on our website a little bit more information about what's going on with your city of Decatur. Today I'd like to talk about two items, one having to do with garbage and the other having to do with workforce development, and a recent announcement made by the federal government about a program called Recompete, which will help us be more effective at getting more people into our workforce, especially people who already live right here in Decatur. But first, let's talk a little bit about garbage and recycling. It's been much in the news lately, in part because of some difficult decisions the City Council made about changing those fees. We've created a separate section of the City of Decatur's website that explains in detail all of these changes and includes all of the documents that we've generated, the change to Chapter 56 of our ordinance that has the rules, a separate set of documents having to do with the administrative enactment of this called the promulgated rules, a separate attachment, or rather appendix, that describes what the different rates are and so forth. It's all there available for you to see along with some frequently asked questions. And why it's important is that if you think you got a bill that's not correct, then start first by going to this section of the city's website and see if what's in your bill is conforming to what the city has approved. And if your hauler is sending you a bill for services that, for example, aren't a part of basic service, then you need to call them up and say, no, wait a minute, I only have basic service, I don't have extended service. And so by giving you this information at the city's website, we hope that we can assure that you get the services that you're paying for and that you pay no more than what the ordinance provides. For purposes of review, basic service again covers once a week collection of one container of garbage, once a week a collection of a separate container or tote of recycling. You also get yard waste for 6 weeks at the curb in the spring and another 6 weeks in the fall. And you also have access to 5 bulky waste pickup, large item pickups 5 times a year, and at each one of those 5 times you can have 5 items. That's what basic service is. Some of you might want extended service or more services than what's covered under basic. And so there's a proviso that says you want an extra container for garbage, that's an additional $11 a month. You want an extra container for recycling, they'll provide it for you at no cost. Why? Because we want to encourage you to recycle, even if it requires a separate container. And there's other provisions too. Some people want a yard waste collection year-round, rather than just at the time when it seems to be most generated for most folks in the spring and in the fall. So there's rules for that, and there's separate rates for that the haulers have. And you have the option, if you want the premium or extended or extra service for yard waste, to go to somebody other than your assigned hauler. You have to use your assigned hauler for basic services, but for something extra you can go to a different hauler. That's a new feature. Lots of other features, I'm not going to go through them all here, but please know that it's on the website. And so this is a way that you can be empowered to make sure that your hauler doesn't send you the wrong amount, charge you too much money. We hope that's useful to you. The next thing I want to talk a little bit about has to do with workforce development. We've been really fortunate here in Decatur to have several new employers announce plans for bringing new jobs and significant new investment in our community. Several of them still aren't up and running. Some of them are still getting ready to be up and running. They've started construction or rehabilitation of existing facilities here in Decatur. The city's been very fortunate to have InnovaFeed, LG Chem, Warwick Carbon, Tillamook, make announcements about bringing their jobs and their investment to Decatur, along with expansions of existing businesses like TCCI and several others. And the truth is that there are more announcements like that to come, which we're not able to talk about. That's great for the future of Decatur, for the economic development of Decatur. But one of the things that we've heard over and over again from these major employers here is that the biggest barrier, the biggest impediment to their being successful in the long term in Decatur is access to a reliable workforce. So as more of these companies gear up and as they scale up to full production, we expect certainly that more people will move to Decatur to take some of those jobs. But the recent announcement by the federal government of a program called Recompete isn't focused on bringing new people in from out of town. That'll happen too, but their focus instead is how can we get more people who are already living here in Decatur but somehow can't connect effectively to get some of these new jobs and be successful in their lives and improve the standard and the quality of their lives. So this Recompete program was one that was led by Richland Community College. Of course, it really underscores how all of our economic development efforts and strategies are interconnected. But even though Richland Community College takes the lead on it, this program was one of 500 submitted to the federal government, and only 22 finalists were named. And that's what the news was earlier this month, is that Decatur and Richland Community College were one of those 22 finalists. Finalists to submit additional information, and if it's successful, receive up to $40 or $50 million for what is necessary to do three principal things. The first is to do more workforce training people for the new skills that some of these employers will require. The second investment is what we call wraparound services. Now, wraparound services is sort of a term of art that's used in economic and community development, but what it really means is there may be a lot of people in our community who want to work, maybe even have the job skills, but because they lack housing, because they lack transportation, because they lack childcare, that keeps them from being a full participant in the workforce. So to the extent that these wraparound services can solve those problems of child care availability, adequate housing, transportation, and other barriers that there might be to holding full-time employment, we want to eliminate those barriers so that more people living in Decatur now can take some of these new jobs. And the third principal component of this Recompete program is to strengthen what they call strengthening manufacturing pathways for high school seniors. In other words, preparing high school seniors to think about how these jobs might be a good career option for them. I look forward to giving you some more information about this in the future. Thanks for tuning in.